Hi everybody, this is Brody from Brody's Garage. Today is July 20th. This is episode 65. What's up everybody? I hope you're all doing well amidst this crazy freaking world that we're living in. It is crazy, isn't it? Well, anyway, a little bit of sanity for you all. Let's just talk about cars today. My latest accomplishment is I've been working on my air conditioning and heater hoses and lines, and I'm gonna walk you through what I did right now. So let's dive in. So before I get started, let me just tell you how great it is having this little portable Hess Air swamp cooler out here. It's just basically hooked up through a garden hose, and it's got a pump that circulates the water through those little coils or little filters, blows the air out, and it knocks it about 15 degrees maybe when you're right in front of it, which is great on a 105 plus day. It's been as high as 118, but it's only like a 105 today. I got some work done today. As long as we're talking about climate control, let's talk about AC and heater lines. So basically we have a AC compressor here, we have a condenser here, we have a receiver dryer right there, and we have a 4-way bulkhead fitting. And on the inside of the car, under the dash, we have a Vintage Air Gen 5, or Gen 4 actually, Magnum AC heater unit. So there you go. Let's talk about each component and how I plumb my lines. I guess we'll start with the heater lines first. So we have a 4-way bulkhead connector here, which has 3-10 air conditioning fittings and 1-6 AC fitting. And basically your AC lines have a little stub with an O-ring that goes inside of that type of a collar for a nice leak-proof connection. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with heater or water lines, you have to use a little adapter that goes in behind here to make the AC line flare out to an AN style fitting or AN style taper. So the two heater lines here actually step up from a -10 to a -12 line. And the reason I ran -12 lines here is because this heater control valve here, which goes in line with your send line from your water pump going to the heater core, is a -12 nipple, or like a 5/8 OD nipple. So an AN12 line is the correct size hose to fit on that. And these are just using a basic style hose clamp with sort of a AN disguised cosmetic cover over there. So when you crawl underneath the car here, you will see that I've got two 90-degree fittings which come off the water pump. And by the way, this Holley water pump has fittings either on the side or below. Because of the clearance issue, I blocked off the sides and came out the bottom. I used an AN, actually a pipe thread to AN adapter here, and then a 90-degree. And then the other one is just a straight pipe thread swivel fitting 90-degree. And the reason for the difference is so that this one comes down a little bit lower than that one and allows the two hoses to sort of live next to each other. When you come up here, you go up like that, along here, and into the bulkhead fitting. Like I said, with the the transducers here from 10 to 12. On the inside, I decided to just go -10. The reason I didn't go 12 all the way is A, there's tighter clearance back here, and secondly, by the time you end up putting this little reducer ferrule in there, the inside diameter of this is the same as the inside diameter of a -10 line. So there's really no advantage to running -12 here. So I went -12. What I'm waiting for right now is my final two fittings. I thought I'd get away with 90 degrees here, but I'm going to end up using 45s. It's just a much better angle to connect to these two hoses, which go down to the heater core. So I'll take a look on the inside in just a minute, but let's talk about AC lines. So from the bulkhead, we have a -6 and a -10. The -6 comes across here and goes down to the dryer right there. On the other side of the dryer, we go to the condenser. I should say we come from the condenser. And by the way, it does matter the top and bottom of this. You've got a -8 and a -6, and the smaller fitting goes towards the bottom. I learned this after the fact. I had this initially flipped over with this fitting on top, and also you'll notice I had to notch out this little bracing here around my hood latch. So I've done that twice now. I did it once with it flipped that way and once this way. I made these brackets here. I had them cut on send.com, and they're basically just a little 4-hole bracket that mounts to this framework and then to my core support. You'll notice down here, I had to grind down the heads of the Allen screws to get clearance right here because it's really tight against this. But that's basically in there now, and it clears my hood latch. We've got a -8 line going to the compressor and a -6 going to the dryer. When you look here at the compressor, you've got the 2 outlets, the -10 and the -8. This one goes to the condenser. This is the low pressure side that goes to the evaporator. I've currently got this one fitting disconnected, and that is because I made this one particular hose just about 1 inch too long, and when you screw it in there, it kind of bunches up and pushes the hose against the turbo, which we do not want. So I ordered another one of these fittings. I think I've got just enough material to cut carefully this crimped fitting off and leave enough hose to crimp on the new one. We shall find out when the new fitting gets here. But basically, I've got 2 45-degree fittings here. Normally, you would see the 2 service ports when you go to charge and fill your AC with Freon. Those 2 Schrader valves, I guess, would normally be embossed right there on these 2 fittings. But as you can see with all this piping here, there's really little to no room to get access in there. So what I did for my service ports is on the suction side, I've got one right here. There's a little plastic cap that comes off, and that is a splice fitting right here, a number 10 splice fitting that is going through a hole drilled in the inner fender, and it's clamped there, and then we're gonna have a rubber grommet here. On the other side, the pressure side of the compressor, we've got a -8 line here and a Schrader valve here. So when the time comes to charge and fill this thing, we're gonna have to have hoses that can get down here and up there. It's the only 2 places that I could feasibly find that work, that also don't kink the hose too much. So that's where I ended up putting them. As far as tire clearance, when I drop the suspension, and by the way, I have my coil spring removed from my coilover shock, and that's so that I can raise and lower the vehicle and show you here the floor jack. I can let this down, and there's my suspension, basically bottomed out almost. When I crank this wheel all the way in, I have clearance to my hoses, and basically it starts to hit the sheet metal here of the inner fenders. So this TCI front end, I guess, really just doesn't accommodate a tire this size when it's fully cranked at this ride height anyway. I should say with the suspension bottomed out. So what I'm gonna do to prevent any mishaps is I'm going to install a little bushing at the bottom of that shock absorber to act like a travel limiter so that the shock cannot fully compress. It'll be almost all the way except for about 1 inch compressed under maximum conditions. So I've tested it with the wheel turned both directions, and I do have enough clearance as long as I put that little safety margin in there. Now I'm going to take you through how I make my bead lock crimp connections here for my AC hoses. Now once I get the hoses mapped out and cut to length, and generally I like to tie them up into place exactly how they're going to live, you know, because you don't want to make a cut and then realize, oh, I needed just another 1/4 inch of slack or whatever. So I try to get these where they're going to sit. And then I take a little Sharpie or a paint marker, and I mark the hoses. First of all, you got to push this all the way in until it dead ends here at the end of the fitting. And then the way it's going to sit, I went ahead and marked a line lining them up because these aren't going to rotate. Once you crimp these on, they're locked in. And if your angle is off, it could be in a bind or whatever, it could mess up your whole plan. So I marked every fitting. I'm now going to go over here to my crimping tool, which I bought off of Amazon by $100. Pretty handy little hydraulic crimping tool here. It comes with a number of different dies, 8, 6, 10. I will tell you that there is 2 types of hoses. There is regular standard AC line, and there is reduced barrier hose. You'll see RB on some of these fittings there, RB. That's for a thinner outer jacket hose, which I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't have the correct standard die for a number 6, and I did do one of my crimps on a number 6 line. I think it turned out okay. Of course, I won't know until I pressurize the system or vacuum check it. But anyway, coming over here, we have one of the lines that comes out of the compressor and goes over to the dryer. This is a number 8 line. You can see I've got my marks lined up there with the fitting, and I've got it kind of just chalked up here in the crimping tool. And basically we just want to make sure that the hose is pressed all the way up in until it dead ends against the fitting and it's lined up. And once we do that with the correct die set in there and the pin engaged right here, we just start squeezing the trigger until it crimps our fitting. So let's give it a shot. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on this. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It's getting a little tighter. Let's say 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out and see what it looks like. And if I feel like I need to, I might rotate this 180 and then give it another crimp. That way I make sure I get it evenly on all sides. But I think it's pretty good. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and flip it over about, 90 degrees, and I gave it a few more pulls on this thing. So when you're done, you just release this valve here, and that releases it from its little jaws. Pull the pin out, flip this guy open, and there is your beadlock crimped hose, which, I don't know, it looks pretty solid. It looks, almost like if I can get this to focus, it looks like kind of a factory style crimp. So we'll flip this over and do the other side. Okay, so here's my first complete finished line. Let's see if it fits. So for the inside of the car, this was a bit of a pain in the butt here, but ultimately I ended up getting it connected. We've got a dash 10 45-degree fitting there for one of our suction sides of the AC system. On the other side, you can see back in there the expansion valve, and there is a 135-degree angle hose end on that to bring this hose right there back up towards the cowl. We've got our 2 heater lines right there in the braided nylon, and those are, I believe those are 45-degree fittings. Yeah, that's what I ended up using. If you look back up underneath there, you can see one of them at the bottom there. It's a 45-degree, and that's also an AN style hose, and so I use those ferrule adapters as well. But I was able to get them connected, and those lines, of course, go right up here to the 4-way bulkhead connector. So I've got the 2 AC lines. I'm waiting for 2 more 45-degree fittings right now to connect these 2 heater hoses to right there, and then that stuff is done. This is the cowl window that I cut out and welded in the frame with the vent cover, so I have access to get to these fittings. So that's it for today. My next steps are to get those 2 fittings replaced on the inside of that cowl area there. I'm at this point pretty much done with the front plumbing. The only thing I have left to do is my brake lines, which I've done before, but I'm going to redo them. At this point, what I can do now is remove my turbo plumbing, take all this stuff back off, send this in for powder coating, the turbo compressor housings, the front plumbing here for the cold air, the intake plenum. I'm going to paint my inner fender panels, my core support, probably even the radiator. So yeah, I'm actually excited. I'm at a point now where I can strip this stuff back off, paint it, and then put it back together for its quote-unquote final assembly. So until the next episode, guys, thank you for tuning in, and I hope your projects are going great. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.